After months of delays, China's government has announced it will allow a team of WHO coronavirus investigators into the country on Thursday. The team of 10 will be working with Chinese scientists on the origins of the virus. The team was due to arrive in China last week, but Beijing delayed the trip at the last minute, saying more arrangements needed to be made. Medical virologist at Westmead Hospital, Professor Dominic Dwyer, is part of the team, and he joins us now from Sydney. Professor Dwyer, thank you so much for your time. So you were supposed to leave as part of that contingent last week. What exactly happened?
Yeah, thank you, Karina. So yes, we did try to set off last week. People obviously coming from all around the world, and we were supposed to be getting a visa issued by China. There were problems with that, so the travel had to be aborted. A number of members were already in the air at the time, but anyway, that's now been solved, and we've got visas, and looking forward to getting into China.
So you're confident that your trip will go ahead on Thursday?
Oh, well, I'm confident now. I certainly hope so. So we have visas and we have all the paperwork underway. So I've got every confidence we'll be going on Thursday.
What about China's cooperation? Do you believe your team will have full access?
Well, we've been promised full access and the ability to go wherever we like in Wuhan. That's where we'll be going to. The Chinese authorities have certainly said they're willing to help and so on. I've got no reason why they wouldn't be. Generally, working with your peer group, the other scientists and doctors, works very well. So hopefully we get to do that fairly early in the piece.
What exactly will you be looking for?
Look, the work goes into perhaps three main areas. One is understanding possible animal origins of this virus, like many other viruses that jump across into humans. The second part is understanding what exactly happened in the first few cases in Wuhan. What was the thing that amplified the whole outbreak? And then the third part is around how did it begin to spread in hospitals and lead to the problems that are now obviously worldwide.
And will you be looking for a date as well? Because that's one of the things that a lot of people are curious about, the timeline, because they have done testing, say, in Italy that says that the virus was present there in the community in November 2019.
Look, this is one of the really puzzling things. I mean, clearly the outbreak started in a significant manner in Wuhan, amplified, I guess, by the outbreak in the market and then in the hospitals. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the virus was first there in Wuhan. It could have been brought into Wuhan, either from other parts of China or other parts of Asia, or indeed other parts of the world. So I think we've got to have a pretty open mind about what might be the origins of the virus. Clearly, the most usual thing is that it's a jump from animals into humans, and that, from bats, for example, like all the other coronaviruses that have occurred in the last 15 or 20 years.
So you're not fixed on the notion that this originated in Wuhan?
Well, I think the outbreak certainly originated in Wuhan. That's clearly where it got going. But whether that's where the virus started and first infected a human is uncertain. And so there's a number of detailed studies that need to be done to work out, was a virus in Wuhan in an unknown manner or cryptic manner? Was it elsewhere in China? Was it in other animals in China that we didn't know about? Or indeed, could it have been in other parts of the world? I think it's a matter of gathering all of that information and working out what sort of extra studies we need to do to answer those sorts of questions. So we're not booked in, we don't have a theory where we're being as open-minded as possible.
The WHO Emergencies Chief Mike Ryan says that this trip is to find answers to help in the future and not necessarily to find people to blame. But shouldn't those responsible be held to account?
Well, I think that's a very important point here. I mean, the aim of this is to try and find out what happened in Wuhan, not to sort of blame somebody, but in fact to work out, well, how do we respond to this better next time round? So if you look at the first big outbreak of SARS way back in 2003, there's no doubt that the international identification of outbreaks became much better after that. This outbreak in Wuhan, you could argue, took a little bit of time, to get some understanding of what was going on, but certainly an improvement from the past. So I would think that part of the work is actually preparing us for what to do next time round, because there's bound to be future pandemics.
Yeah, because that's one of the accusations levelled against China, that this virus was spreading through Wuhan and Chinese authorities knew about it and didn't alert the rest of the world.
Well, look, I think there may well be an element of that. I think that's got to be teased out. It's easy to sit on the fence and sort of say, oh, well, this is what happened, or what have you. I think we need to try and understand that. As I said, I think generally my feeling is, in working in China, that of course, the scientists and the doctors want to know what's going on. They're just as interested in finding out how this started and how it might be prevented again in the future. Of course, politics enters into all of these outbreaks all around the world. We've seen it all around in America and England and even in Australia. So I'd rather get away from the blame game and get into the understanding game, because that's what's going to advance things in the future.
Yeah, you talk about the politics and also the understanding game. So the Australian government was one of the first to call for an independent inquiry into the origins of coronavirus. Did you support that call?
Oh, look, I think there's no doubt that we need an investigation. That's standard practice, really, for any significant outbreak of disease or cluster of other illnesses and so on. That's what doctors and scientists and epidemiologists want to do. Now, whether it could have been expressed in a better way or in a more cooperative way, well, that's not for me to answer. That's a political question. But I think the principle of understanding what the origins of outbreaks is a very solid one.
Well, we wish you really well on your trip. Dominic Dwyer, maybe you can speak to us on your return and tell us what you found out.
Thank you, Karina.